Hi everyone, and welcome to Ku-ring-gai Council's Smart Schools Update for 2023. Thanks for coming. I don't know who's out there, but I can see that I've got around about 12 participants, so I'd like to welcome everybody here today. I hope that everyone has enjoyed a relaxing holiday break and that you've begun term 3 with a spring in your step. I'm coming to you today from Terra Marigold land. And on behalf of Ku-ring-gai Council, I would like to pay tribute to Aboriginal elders past, present and emerging. My name is Sally Erickson, and I am the Sustainability Education Officer here at Ku-ring-gai Council. And I'm your point of contact for any of these education programs that you'll see here this afternoon. My role at Council is to recommend environmental education programs to educational institutions within our LGA and to put you in touch with providers both inside and outside of Council. I've been a primary school teacher for over 20 years and I look forward to sharing my experience in implementing sustainable initiatives in schools with you. Now to some Zoom housekeeping. We'll be recording today's webinar to send around to other schools who couldn't be here today. But don't worry, no one will be able to see you or hear you. In fact, I can't even see you or hear you. So if you've got any questions about anything, then please feel free to type them in the Q&A box for us to answer at the end in our Q&A session with the presenters. The chat box is for technical issues and general comments and hyperlinks and that kind of thing, but please stick to the Q&A box for any of your questions. Recent climatic events have motivated millions of students and their families to learn how to care for our planet. And as sustainability is a cross-curriculum priority in schools, many schools are looking for ways to embed sustainability education into their teaching programs. And likewise with early learning centres who are focusing heavily on developing sustainable habits in children and their families. So this afternoon, we'd like to showcase what councils can deliver to schools to inspire, engage and educate students and staff, not only about the natural environment, but how to live more sustainably. So the format this afternoon is going to be 6 informal presentations from our 6 experts here at Ku-ring-gai Council. Including our sustainability team, our ranger experts at the Ku-ring-gai Wildflower Garden and our waste team. And if you are a preschool or early learning centre, please be aware that the first and the second speakers programs are relevant for your age group, as well as the Nest Box program that I will talk about at the end. And if anyone has any questions at all about anything that you're seeing from the speakers here, then please pop them in the Q&A box as soon as you like. The sooner the better, so we can answer them. So so we're going to get started with our first speaker, who is Alex Austin, and he's going to tell us about his Wild Things Native Stingless Bee program. Over to you, Alex.
Thanks, Sally. So this is one of the 2 programs that are relevant to me and that I can support you with at your school. So the first one is the Native Stingless Bee program. It's our oldest running program in this sort of sphere. And basically what it means is you can get your hands on a native beehive and have it installed at your school or your childcare centre, which I will help you do. They're an excellent learning resource. They are 100% safe for all the kids. And they'll fall in love with them pretty much instantly. They're quite low maintenance too. So once you've learned the basics, you can just sit back and enjoy them. So if you want to get your hands on one of those and you want to develop it alongside perhaps planting up some space and making a bit of a pollinator garden, which I would advise you do, then you can lodge your interest with Sally. Essentially, that will then come to me. There's a couple of different avenues of how you might get one. So we do sometimes encourage schools to go down the Environmental Levy Grants group to buy a hive. But if you have your own funds, we sell our hives at $420, which is a good discount for schools. And you're pretty much guaranteed one. So I always prioritise the schools and the childcare centres first. On top of that, we actually have some specialised hives that you can purchase now as well. Which you'll be able to see on the next slide. So we now have 2 different types. So we have a we have 3 different types. We have the standard hive that you saw on the last slide, but we now have an observation box, which means on warm days, you can lift the lid up and have a look inside the colony and see what the bees are doing, which obviously is really great for the kids. They really enjoy being able to see the inside. And then we also have a honey collector box, which you can see on the right-hand side there. That means that over time, you'll be able to store, the bees will be able to store honey in that box, and you'll be able to harvest that with the students. And I can help you do that for the first time as well. We also have security stands to help secure the hives if you are concerned. Some schools certainly do have some areas where they're worried about them being moved, so we can sort that out as well. If you do want one of those, then please do request them, because I only make them by order. So that covers our Stingless Bee program, and if you've got any questions, then please put them in the Q&A. The second one is the Bee Hotel program. So this one is one of my favorites because it's much more involved. So this is something that if you want the students to get a bit more hands-on and something that requires maintenance over time and then to understand it, this is the program to go for. So this targets our solitary species, and it provides somewhere for them to nest. And hopefully what you'll achieve is you'll get little solitary bees nesting in there. And because they're very seasonal, there's different jobs you have to do with the students over the year. And that's a really great way for them to learn about the seasons and the cycles of nature. Again, if you want one of those, they come in at the same price as the stingless beehives. And I'll come and fit them and install them for you. You'll get everything that you see here, along with some starter plants as well to get a little pollinator garden going too. So if you're interested in those, please do get in touch. We've got about 6 of them in childcare centres and schools as we speak, and they're going really well. So, and you'll get to see a lot of diversity in species there, which is always great for them.
Excellent. Thank you, Alex, for that presentation. Now I'd like to ask Ranger Anna Forward to explain the exciting science and geography excursions and incursions at the beautiful Ku-ring-gai Wildflower Garden in St Ives. Over to you, Anna.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. It's good to be here. Yeah, so I'm an education ranger here at the Wildflower Garden, and I just wanted to run you through some of the programs that we have on offer. So the first one I'm going to give you a little snapshot of is our incursions. They have seen a lot of popularity this year. We've booked quite a few, and in particular for the early learning centres and preschools. It's a great way for us to come to an early learning centre and show them what we have on offer. So the kinds of things that you might see at an incursion are maybe a selection of some of the reptiles that we keep, and we bring them along and we look at their features, and we talk about their habitat. Sometimes we'll bring some habitat material along. You can see in that picture, the kids can build their own little habitat, and we put the animal in there. That's a really great interactive session. We also bring a selection of native plants along, and we talk about some of their uses, some of their bush tucker uses, which kids find really interesting. And we often leave just a selection of seed pods and plants for if you have like a sensory table at your school, we'll leave them there for you to explore and get some more learning out of in the future as well. So that session you can book for 1 hour for $201. We often split that into 2 30-minute sessions. If it's an early learning centre, often there's the 2 different rooms with the 2 different age groups. So we're happy to split that into 2 sessions, and same with the schools. So we might do a stage 1 presentation and a stage 2 presentation. So that's a bit more of a bigger session, obviously with a bigger group of kids, but still, you know, they get a lot out of it, and we give them a really great experience with us. So incursions, yeah, so that's all I've got to tell you about that. So we might move on to our excursions now. So we cover syllabus areas, like Sally said, across science and geography and Indigenous studies. And when you go on our website, you can have a closer look at more detail in terms of what kind of outcomes that we achieve. And we do a full day and we do a half day. So the full day is 10 till 2, and that has 3 sessions in it. And the cost there is $448. and that's for one group of up to 30 students. So if there's 2 classes, we apply that charge twice. And then the half day session is 3 sessions, and we have like a recess break in the middle there as well. And that one's 10 till 12:30, so 2.5 hours. We often finish that one at a playground where they can have some lunch. And we'll just move on, and I'll show you what you can expect from an excursion at the Wildflower Garden. Thanks, Sally. So one of the sessions will always be a bushwalk. A lot of schools that come here, the kids have not had a lot of confidence walking in the bush. So we always provide a bushwalk based around the theme that you've chosen on that day. And it's a really great experience for the kids. We don't just stick to the paths. We go onto those tracks that have rocks that the kids have to climb down. We really like to give the kids a bit of a challenge on the day. If you've picked our Science Living World session, one of the excursion, one of the sessions might be dip netting in our ponds or bug hunting in the bush. And that's a really great hands-on experience. We have excellent equipment for that session. And then we have a really great education space now where we let you have a look at all the animals that we keep on display. And we use that for our geography, our Indigenous studies, and our science excursion, where we're looking at adaptations or habitat areas, or how we can protect animals and what kind of landscapes they live in. And so that's a close-up look at our animals. And then the mapping experience, we're very lucky, we have some really excellent rangers that are geography teachers in their other lives. So we have a really great geography excursion where we learn a lot about mapping skills and thinking about the Hawkesbury sandstone and the different landscapes and how they've been formed. And I was just talking to you about some of the animals we keep. So I thought I'd bring one along. I've brought one to our webinars before. I brought a turtle and a lizard. So this time I thought I'd bring a different reptile. This is our little friend, Pebbles. Pebbles is a pygmy python. He's actually the smallest type of python in the world. They're not local species of snake. It's from the outback. You'll find these guys in a cave or in a termite mound looking for microbats or little geckos. But snakes are a really great animal to use for fauna presentations for students, because there's so many different educational points that we can make about snakes, whether it's being safe in the bush and keeping an eye out for them when you see them, and how to act when you do see a snake, and looking at the differences between pythons and venomous snakes as well. And kids just really like snakes. We've got quite a few. This is our smallest one, obviously, our pygmy python. But so our excursions have lots to offer, and we hope that you can come along to one soon. Yes, so that's just a way that you can connect directly with us too. If you go to our website, you can just pick the excursion that you want, and you can, sorry, my snake's escaping. You can pick the excursion that you want and just put your dates that you want to try and book, and I'll get back to you straight away. So I book our excursions, but I also run them as well. So thanks for having me.
Thanks. That's great, Anna. And I hope Pebbles behaves himself.
Yeah, he's a bit of an escape artist.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, our rebates and grants expert, Anuj Dahir, will now explain a few things about tackling rebates and grants, and he'll also fill us in on the success of the Solar My School program, which is coming to an end next year.
Hi all, I'll provide you a quick summary of Council's rebates and grants that our local schools can take advantage of. To start off with a bit about what is SMART's rebate. They're up to about $1,000 that can be claimed by schools. This could go towards installation of rainwater tanks, green roofs and rain gardens. If there is any project that would improve the quality of stormwater runoff from the school site, we'd encourage you to just speak with us and explore the project's eligibility for the rebate. We also have, if you're setting up, say, a veggie garden or something similar, and anything to manage your food waste on site, you can also purchase discounted compost bins and worm farms from a Compost Revolution website. So this is a link to that website. Of course, it's provided on council's web pages, but you could also go directly down to the website and just put in your address. It kind of picks up which council area you're in, and you can place your orders from there. So these discounted products would be delivered directly to your school, when they also include live worms. Just wanted to let you know. So yes, they do it quick enough for them to survive. I'll just, with the BBP rebates, this is mainly, it's basically Better Business Partnership rebates. It's a joint council setup, or at least program. So that provides rebates to local businesses, including schools that are privately run. So this is something that is only available for, say, the early learning centers, because they classify as businesses, and not for primary or secondary schools. But rebates are available for up to about $2,000 each for solar PV systems, energy efficiency upgrades, and even installation of EV chargers. So there is an opportunity for schools that are not covered by the Solar My School to actually avail these rebates. They, of course, need to be members of the BBP program. So yes, you can go find out more about it on our website, and we'll be able to help you out if you had any queries regarding that. The Solar My School program, we kind of started off with, or collaborated with this program about 4 years ago, and we've had quite a bit of success. So unfortunately, starting 1st of July this year, the Department of School Infrastructure had launched its own Smart Energy Schools project, which from here on is responsible for all installations of solar PV on public schools. So that's kind of taken, it's had an impact on the ability of Solar My School as a program to carry on. So they're going to be coming to, or at least they will cease to operate at the end of this financial year. But over the 4 years, we have kind of engaged with about 17 schools, and 13 of these schools have, many of whom have already gone ahead and installed systems, but we're expecting a total of 13 schools to have completed installations by the end of this financial year. So once this program ceases, we may bring in rebates. So there will always be an opportunity for us to encourage schools that have not had or have not engaged through this program in the past to still have some benefit from the council in putting in solar panels or any other kind of energy efficiency upgrades that we might find an opportunity for. We'll move on to the next slide, please, Sally. The other opportunity is, of course, the environmental levy grants. These are made available to community groups, schools, universities, and not-for-profits, and also individuals within Ku-ring-gai. There's a total of $100,000, which is split between the environmental conservation and the net zero communities grant program. The grant programs can range. I mean, the grants are generally given from anywhere from between a couple of $1,000s to up to about $30,000. So you do have a huge range of projects that you can probably apply for these grants for. Applications generally open around March in a calendar year and close by June. So for the next round, it's going to open between March 2024 and close by June 2024, soon after which all the successful applicants would be informed, and you probably expect it to finish off with those projects before the end of that financial year. So that would be June 2025. This grants will be, of course, announced through our Smart School e-newsletter and other social media channels. So if you are subscribed to any of these, you will get to hear about it. You can definitely visit the website to find out more about the criteria that are used, and also past applicants who've been successful in getting these grants, and get an idea of what outcomes we are aiming to achieve. If you have any questions, of course, you can always reach out to our team anytime if you need more information, and we'll be happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Anuj. That was great. Okay, and moving right along, I'd like to introduce Kim Griffin, who's going to discuss how school students can be involved in the bush care through the Duke of Edinburgh Awards program and other things. Thanks, Kim.
Thanks so much, Sally, and thanks everyone for having me. So I deliver Council's Bushcare program, and Bushcare is a community-based volunteer program where we tackle one of the major threats to our local bushland areas, which is invasive plant species. So this means that the main activity our volunteers do is weeding. So we sometimes do planting, erecting fences, rubbish collection, and other bits and pieces as well. The most common way students do get involved in Bushcare is through our Duke of Edinburgh Awards scheme. So if your school is actively involved with the Duke of Ed, I would encourage you to present Bushcare as an option to your students. That being said, anyone over the age of 14 is very welcome to join our Bushcare program. Next slide, thanks, Sally. So some of the skills students are expected to learn include plant identification of both weeds and natives, and hands-on weeding techniques. We also teach about the common issues that negatively impact our urban bushland and what actions we can take to mitigate these impacts. So it's very much a think global, act local situation. So by joining Bushcare, students will also be a part of a really strong community of volunteers who are passionate about protecting our local bushland reserves. Students will get to work in mixed age groups, which allows also for more experienced bush carers to have opportunities to mentor our newer volunteers. So our Bushcare groups generally meet once a month for 2 to 3 hours on a Saturday or Sunday morning, and Bushcare is free with all tools, training, and protective equipment provided. So the other service that my team does offer is planting days on school grounds and in school hours. So we can help to facilitate these days if you need advice on site preparation and planning, and we can also help you to source appropriate local plants. We're also happy to come along on the day and demonstrate techniques to students and provide tools and anything else we might need. And this service is most suitable for high school students as well as the upper primary school aged students. Thanks, Sally. Next slide. Oh, yes, and we're done. So that's all I have to talk about today. Thank you so much for your time. So our Bushcare program is really just a great way for students to get active and protect the environment, give back to the local community, and learn quite a niche set of skills in a beautiful outdoor bushland setting. Thank you.
That sounds amazing, actually. And then they also get their Duke of Edinburgh Award. I mean, it's a win-win. Wonderful. Thanks, Kim. All right, and I'd like to introduce James Chan now, and he is going to explain his program, which is called Clientwise Communities, a bushfire awareness program. So thank you, James.
Thank you very much for that lovely intro, Sally. Yes, my name is James. I'm a Sustainability Project Officer here at Council, and I help run the Clientwise Communities program. So about the program, it was established in the wake of the 2009 Black Saturday fires and incorporates the findings of the Royal Commission. And since this program was established, we've won multiple awards for the various kind of work we've done and the various versions of the workshop of the program that has been developed over time. It has expanded to include extreme weather events such as storms, heat waves, and floods, so not just bushfires. And the whole reason behind that is because climate change is making these extreme weather events even more intense and more frequent. The drought, record-breaking heat waves, black summer fires, storms that lashed the North Shore around about the same time is evidence of a changing climate. In fact, we're seeing something similar happening in the Northern Hemisphere right now. So there are some warning signs about what's to come. And so we need to prepare and adapt. And that's exactly what this program is all about. So one way we help the community to prepare and adapt for climate change is via the Clientwise Communities website, which you can see in front of you. And the other is via our 3D bushfire and storm simulation workshops. Next slide, please, Sally. So these Clientwise Communities workshops, it centers around some 3D simulation technology called a sim table. It creates highly engaging experiences that can be tailored to a diverse range of audiences. We can do these workshops via incursions or excursions to places like the Wildflower Garden. The incursions can be done in person or virtually via Zoom. The 3D simulation is provided by the sim table, which is highly portable and can be set up at your school within 15 minutes. It can also be connected to a projector if class sizes are large, for example, within an auditorium. And in that picture there, you can see how it can be connected to a projector, so more students can see the sim table at the same time. The 3D simulations are created by projecting an image onto a tray of special sand, which is made up of crushed walnut shell. The participants or students can shape the sand into the terrain of Ku-ring-gai, so you can create the hills and valleys of the local area, and then which the image is projected down onto, and that is what creates the 3D effect. And we can start a bushfire on any part of the bushland that's displayed in front of students. Now, this fire behavior can change in response to terrain, wind speed, and direction. For example, the fire the students will see how fire burns faster uphill than downhill. And we can change the wind speed and wind direction to change the behavior of the fire as well. So it's a very visual demonstration of fire behavior and environmental factors. So this results in a highly visual, tactile, and interactive experience. It touches on many modes of learning and is very good at capturing the attention of children at all ages. It really is like honey for children. They're just bees to honey. They just fly straight towards it. The sim table is great for bushfire awareness, geography, and STEM subjects. I would highly recommend these workshops as extreme weather preparedness, especially for bushfire, in Ku-ring-gai, as Ku-ring-gai is the third most bushfire at-risk LGA in metropolitan Sydney. And these workshops or presentations are suitable for students in the primary and secondary schools. And that is me done. Thank you very much, Sally.
Thank you, James. That was really interesting to hear about the sim table. All right, our lucky last speaker is Sally Allport from our waste team. And she's going to give us the lowdown on how you can access waste workshops, incursions, and find solutions to your curly waste questions. Thanks, Sally.
Thanks, Sally. We have a number of programs available on waste and recycling, our most popular being our Keep New South Wales Beautiful Environmenters incursions, and they're for kinder to year 6. We offer these workshops at the start of each calendar year, and they are offered at a set time of the year to allow for pre-planning. The workshops are generally offered on a first-come, first basis, unless the responding schools outnumber the spaces available. We can offer 20 spaces a year, which is generally 20 schools. The workshops are presented by qualified teachers and tailored to each learning stage and curriculum linked. Each school will be allocated to one workshop a day, being 5 workshops with 150 students in total. Sorry, each school allocated 1 day, being 5 workshops in total. An all-weather location is required for the day, and schools can choose between a number of modules. The modules are recycling, in the bin, lunches unwrapped, composting, worm farming, garbage to garden, school audits, which are also available to high schools, and litter. We've filled our allocation of workshops for this calendar year, so look out for the offering early next year. More information on each of the modules can be seen on the Environmentals website. We also have some online learning activities available. Cool Australia has some really great teaching resources, which is offered by Visi Recycling. There's 32 downloadable resources in relation to waste and recycling, and they're at early learning stage, primary school and secondary schools stage. Also on our website is our recycling quiz, and we have a waste and recycling video. Something reasonably new is Kimbricky's Eco House and Garden Education Hub, which is also for kinder to year 6 and high school. They also have heaps of videos and activities, particularly on composting and worm farming. The excursions available, Kimbricky is primarily the main site that you can visit. You can liaise directly with Kimbricky. They do great excursions. All the details are on their website. teachers can also join our resident composting workshops. Veolia, our landfill at Veolia is 3 hours drive, which is near Goulburn. So it's probably a 6-hour turnaround, but maybe of interest to senior geography students or classes. I can liaise with Veolia if anyone would like to do that. But as I said, it's not really that close. And we're also not able to offer recycling excursions to Visy Recycling, just for safety reasons. At the schools, you can actually engage in these particular programs. We have return and earn bins, which are available, where you can collect your eligible containers for return and get a refund for your school's fundraising. We also offer recycling collections to schools. And something reasonably new is our school uniform recycling program with Southern Cross Recycling. We have 14 schools involved in the program, and we collect at the end of each term. So we've collected about 1.5 tonne of uniforms for recycling so far since the program started. And that's it for me. Thank you, Sally.
Thank you. Wow, that's fantastic. I can't believe how many school uniforms you've been collecting. That sounds amazing. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. All the presenters. Thank you for all of your inspiring and interesting programs. And I hope our listeners are interested in getting in touch about some of those things. But wait, there is more. There are a couple of other programs that we haven't mentioned yet. And one of them is the Nest Box program. So this has been rolled out to schools and early learning centres, and it has a focus on the importance of hollows for homes and caring for the natural environment and native animals around schools and early learning centres. So last year, Linfield East and Wahroonga Public Schools were given a Nest Box, as well as Lady Game Community Kindy. So they all received a free Nest Box and an educational program delivered to stage 3 students or early learning children. That's all curriculum linked as well. So email me if you're interested in this year in going onto the waitlist for our programs for the future. There's more information on the Smart Schools webpage on the council website. And then let me know if you would like a council expert to present at your school or early learning centre on a range of topics, such as native flora and fauna, native animal habitats, edible gardening, composting and worm farming, reducing emissions and plastic. Schools can also ask for free native tube stock and advice on native plantings from Jocelyn, who is our Flora Expert. And I'm actually delivering these posters to schools. I don't know if you can. No, you can't see it. It doesn't seem to come up. Anyway, I'm delivering the Smart School poster to all schools over the next few weeks, which contains an overview of all the programs that we're talking about today. So you can put that up in your staff room for everybody to see, because it's the kind of thing that your staff would really benefit from knowing about, so that they can get hold of us here and we can help you to implement the programs at your school. And there's one more thing. We have just launched a fantastic environmental online competition for high schoolers. So it's managed by Speaking for the Planet, and the theme is, how can we reach net zero together to create a more sustainable community within Ku-ring-gai? So we're asking students to respond to that question through a variety of ways, through one of these ways. They can choose one of these ways. So they can either prepare a 4-minute speech and video themselves reading it. They can write a 30-word limited piece of prose, or they can create an artwork, or lastly, they can compose a poem and then video themselves actually performing it and reciting the poem at the same time. So there are lots of really creative ways that they can respond to the question about how to create a more sustainable Ku-ring-gai. And the students can enter as many times as they like, using one mode of delivery at a time. And the prizes. The prizes include gifts and sweet treats from the Source Bulk Foods in St Ives. There are vouchers from Treetops Adventure, in St Ives, and there are net zero books and environmentally aware gift vouchers. The winners will also present to Ku-ring-gai Council Mayor and councillors, and the artworks and the writing will be displayed in our local libraries. So there is more info about this on our council website. If you go to the Environment tab and then choose Get Involved and then choose Sustainable Events, you can see it there. So it's on the events page, but you can also just email me for any further questions. And I also have a support package that I can email out to you, which has all the details of all the assessment criteria and where to lodge your entry and all of that kind of stuff as well. And I'm actually delivering as well posters, which you won't be able to see. I'm delivering a poster about it to all the high schools in Ku-ring-gai over the next week. So yes, ask around. It could already be at your high school. All right. Oh, and there's one more thing. We're actually going to run a competition in term 4. So this will open in week 1 of term 4, and it's a poetry competition for kindergarten to year 6. It's called Wild with Words. And teachers are asked to support students in writing a haiku, acrostic, cinquain, or free verse poem about an element of the natural environment. So it's a very open and flexible kind of poetry competition. You can choose whichever one you like. And all you have to do is write your poem and then accompany it with a lovely hand-drawn picture or drawing. And again, there are going to be prizes. The poems will be judged on descriptive technique, their connection to nature, and linked to First Nations people. So prizes include Ku-ring-gai Wildflower Garden activity vouchers, Treetops Adventure vouchers, and environmental children's books. So as I said, this will open in week 1 on the 9th of October, and it will close on the 17th of November. So I do encourage teachers to participate to give your students a chance at winning some great prizes. And everything will be compiled into a booklet that will be sent out to your school and all the libraries after the competition has closed. So this event is not advertised yet, but if you are interested and if you've got any questions, just let me know. So today we've looked at all of these things. And if you've got any questions for any of our speakers, then I invite you to add them to the Q&A box right now. And while you're doing that, because there are no questions in our Q&A box at the moment, I'm going to ask a question to Alex, just in case he's fallen asleep over there. Alex, just how many native beehives have you split in the past 12 months? And can you tell us a little bit about that?
So in the last 12 months, we split about 120 colonies. So that basically means we've created 120 new ones. And this is something that we do every spring. And it's the primary way that we get new colonies for the program. Basically, it sounds like what it is. We go to an existing colony, we quite literally split it in half, and then we add an empty top to each one of those. And through the amazing way that the bees can reproduce, they're able to requeen the one half that doesn't have the queen in it, and then they can grow back to full strength again. So you get 2 full strength colonies out of 1. So that's how we do it.
Great. Thanks, Alex. That's interesting. I have a question for Anna. Anna, what is your favourite part of the wildflower garden and why?
Thanks, Sally. So many spots are pretty great, but my secret little lunch break spot on the Fitzgerald track, it's on a little rock outcrop that I sit on, and it looks out on the ridgeline, and there's some beautiful Angothra trees that are always active with animals. So that's my favourite spot.
Excellent. Good to know. Okay, Anuj, I've got a question for you. What is the largest PV system that has been installed in a Ku-ring-gai school through the Solar My Schools program?
I think the largest one is in Taramara High School, which is about 90 kilowatt in size. And it's also part of the virtual power plant project, which is the pilot project, which was done by the Department of School Infrastructure. So yeah, that would be the largest.
Wow, that is massive. Well, I guess it is a big school too, so that's excellent. And a question for Kim. How many students are currently signed up to do bush care as part of the Duke of Edinburgh Award, and how have they benefited from being part of the program?
Thanks, Sally. Yeah, so we've had 20 Duke of Ed students enrolled this year, and they really benefit in lots of different ways. So some of the most recent feedback I've had from the students are things like, so I had one girl talk about how she had no idea how many different types of grasses there were. So sort of getting to know the extreme amount of diversity in our local plant life, as well as sort of gaining confidence in like being in the bush and starting to feel comfortable around things like insects and snakes and getting a bit dirty. And then also learning about how to identify the actual hazards like ant nests that might cause a threat. But yeah, all sorts of things they can get out of it.
That sounds great. Thank you, Kim. And a question for you, James. James, what's the number one thing that kids can do to make a bushfire survival plan?
Okay, that's a great question. The best thing children can do to make a bushfire survival plan is to talk to their parents and go through the Clientwise Communities website together so that they can go through the mapping exercise and see what their risks are in terms of climate risks, whether or not they're affected by bushfires, storm, heat wave, or have exit issues, and then go through the personal situation checklist, the property checklist, as well as the neighborhood one. And by sitting together as a family and going through these steps, they can get a pretty good idea about their own personal vulnerability as a family, and then have a very constructive discussion about what their plan should be. Should there be a bushfire? How they know when is the time to leave, which is a trigger to leave, and then participate in the creation of a bushfire survival plan. And that plan, the children should always ask, what can I do, Mum? What can I do, Dad? And how do we keep Fluffy safe? Any pet they have, we need to have a plan as well. So a great way of engaging children on planning, on bushfire planning, is to talk about how do they keep their pets safe. And if they have a plan for their pets, well, then that should spark the conversation about how they should have a plan for themselves. So that's how I would do it. Talk to the parents, go to the website, and have that conversation.
That sounds like a very good angle to take for kids to understand the importance of it.
Especially
Excellent.
pets.
Yes,
Especially
exactly.
pets.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, James. And a quick question for Sally from our waste team. How many schools have taken advantage of the environmenters incursions offered by the council every year?
We've had 20 schools book in this year. It's completely booked out and it's been very, very popular. So we're able to offer again next year. It's always a very popular program due to the diverse range of modules that you can choose.
Excellent. Thank you, Sally. Great. Now I have another question for you, Sally. This is a question that's been sent in from Matt, and he has asked, if we sorted our waste to a return and earn scheme, do the students or the P&C take the bottles and cans to an existing return and earn point?
Yes, it's done internally in the school. Council does the recycling collection, but if you we can provide a bin for the return and earn, but you have to transfer the containers yourself to the disposal point or the recycling point.
Yeah, so I hope that answers your question, Matt, about return and earn. And actually, I also know that if you have a school that doesn't mind paying a small fee, you can get some outside providers to come in to take away the return and earn bottles and cans and things, and give you the proceeds once they've put it through the machines. But there is a small fee attached to that for their service. But when I was working in school and running the return and earn scheme, I would go through the bins myself and I would get all the bottles and everything into massive big IKEA bags, pop them in the back of my car, and I'd just take them across and deliver them that way through the reverse vending machine points. I have another question from Matt, and this one's for you, Alex. We have a native stingless beehive that I believe was provided through the council originally. Dr. Austin said there should be maintenance to the hive. Ours is a polystyrene box. Can I get details about what I need to do for maintenance and also how to check on the health of the colony? Alex, are you able to answer that one, please?
Sure. So in terms of maintenance, it very much depends on what the colony is looking like now. So with the polystyrene boxes, it's about how is the polystyrene box looking? Depending on what's happened over the years, they might have been chewed at or cracked or broken down. If that's happening, then what we can look at doing is swapping the box over, and I can do that for you. If it's just looking a bit tired, then you can paint it. That's enough. So they're remarkably robust. And that's what I mean by maintenance in terms of the box. The bees themselves maintain themselves, but we have to look after the wood and the polystyrene on those. In terms of knowing whether they're okay, the big one is about activity. So this time of year, they are going to be a bit quiet, right? But on any day that it reaches 20, you should be seeing them. And it's all about those numbers. So we want to be seeing about 30 to 60 bees either coming or going a minute. If that's happening, then we know they're okay. If that starts to drop down, especially on warmer days, then that's something to be concerned about. But if you're ever worried about it, just send an email to either Wild Things or directly to Sally, and it'll get back to me and I'll come around and have a look.
Great. Thank you, Alex. So, Scott, I hope that has cleared that all up for you. If you've got any other questions, just let us know. Those are the only questions that I've got in the Q&A box. If anybody else has any other questions, now is your last chance to pop them in. We are all here ready and waiting to answer your questions. So, oh, look at that. That's so fancy. I get a kick out of that every time. Today we've talked about beehives and hotels. We've talked about the wildflower garden science and geography excursions. We've talked about bush care through the Duke of Edinburgh Awards program. We've talked about the sim table through the Clientwise Communities 3D workshops. We've talked about all sorts of waste things, which My Mistake is also available to early learning centres, from workshops to online resources to all sorts of things. And we've talked about rebates and grants and the Soul in My School program, which is sadly coming to an end, but very happily that the Department of Education is taking that over. So there are no more questions. We're going to finish really early. It's only 10 to 5. But if there are no more questions, wait, there is more. Here we go. Matt has another question. So Matt is just wondering, I was just wondering about collecting food scraps at school to divert from landfill. How much could we realistically process through compost and worm farms without ending up with a rat's nest? That is such a good question. So Sally, would you be able to answer that one?
You need to start quite small with your composting. So don't try to collect all of the food scraps all at once. You kind of need to build up, and you should at least start with 2 compost bins or even more. Probably best to liaise with Kim Bricky. They're the ones that organise all of the workshops through the schools, and they've got a lot of hands-on experience, so they'll be able to help you with that. But I do know it is better to start smaller and then sort of work up to a well sort of running compost system before you try to recycle or compost all of your food scraps.
Yes, very good advice, Sally. And Matt says that he has 2 tumblers and a round bin. So you've got 3 compost bins. So that's a really good start. And I know in some schools, they have massive big compost bays where they do hot composting. And that obviously churns through a lot of food scraps and so on. But for open bays like that, you are going to get a lot of rats. But through the Compost Revolution website that we have in Ku-ring-gai, you can get discounted compost bins. And those are the type that are enclosed. So just like the tumbler that you've got and the round bin. So the rats can't get in. And if you make sure that you've got mesh at the bottom of your compost bin, if it's one of the standing ones, then some really high grade aluminium, perforated aluminium mesh, the rats won't be able to chew through that and you won't have any problems with rats. The other way that you can reduce rats is not to put in any meat or dairy into your compost bins at all. So that they could either go into bokashi bins or they could simply go into landfill, which I don't recommend, by the way. But if you restrict, your food scraps to just fruit and veggie scraps, then there's less likelihood of getting rats. When I had chickens at home, I actually had some little rat baits in a little box that I used also to get rid of rats. So
turning frequently also helps because they don't like being disturbed.
Exactly, that's a good tip too. Yeah. Yeah, so but yes, when I was working in schools, we just had the stand-up bins and we had a couple of them and we alternated one bin at a time. And then when that was curing, we got the next bin going. But you can't expect to do the whole entire school's worth of scraps at once. That's a very big job and you would need to have support from your maintenance team or your GA to help you to do that. So you've just got to bite off as much as you can chew without, trying to do it all at once, just like Sally said.
Yeah, anyone looking to start composting in a school, I'd recommend come to one of the Kimbrickie workshops.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are free and they're held, how often are they held, Sally?
We've just had our August one booked out, but are looking to get sort of another one sort of in October or November.
Yeah, so every few months. So keep your eye out for that on the website. And I could, if you send me an email, I can let you know when the next one is in case you miss it. So just send me an email, Matt, and I can be in touch with you about that. All right. I don't think that we've got any other questions here. So this is your very last chance, everybody. We've still got 15 minutes, but if there are no more questions, then I think we're going to call it a day. But I just wanted to say that now is a really good time for educators and teachers to identify any programs of interest that you've seen here today and think about them, and then you can add them to your school budgets if there's a cost involved, or pop them onto your incursion or excursion scope and sequence for the next year. Please be in touch if you have seen something that you're interested in today, or if you've got any queries about anything. And I can either help you or I can put you in contact with these lovely speakers that we've had here today. Everyone will be receiving an email following today's webinar with links to some further information and how to register for some of these great programs. And I will also be sending you a survey, and I beg and plead that you could please fill that out so that we can help to make things better for next time, because we really appreciate your feedback in improving things. Things can always be improved, in my opinion. Without any further ado, I'd like to thank you very much for coming today. And thank you to our presenters for providing a snapshot of what councils offer schools and early learning centres. Don't hesitate to be in touch if you've got any questions, and have a good evening. Thanks for coming, everyone. Bye.